Okay, hello. This is the first video for programming in 420, class 420, econometrics and data analytics. Let me start with giving you some useful resources because I cannot cover everything. So if you are more seriously interested in R or other programming, so anyhow, you have to get used to finding resources by yourself online. So first of all, like what you are going to do is downloading and installing R and RStudio. Actually, I wanted to show you how to install this, but on university computer, I cannot remove a program, so I could not show you how to install that. My computer already has R and, so by the way, anyhow, you have to search R Studio. Even if you search R, that is also fine. But I recommend this is R. But I recommend you to uh, use R Studio. It's a more convenient way to use R. So if you search for R Studio on Google, you are going to see this web page, right? posit.co. And you first install R. So you can do it by clicking here and it goes back to the old uh, page, and you choose your operating system and download and install. Right? I believe it shouldn't be a big problem. Depending on your program, your OS, your computer, you can download what you need. And on library computer, you can you can find the program installed already on the computer. So you can skip this part. And then I recommend you to download RStudio too. So you can think it this way: R is just a basic programming package, but it does not have very poor and inconvenient editor. When you edit the program, it's really inconvenient directly on R. So RStudio is an editor for R. So it's much more convenient. You will see later what happens. And you can download and install this after installing R. So I can show you the difference. Let me show you the basic R thing. So this is the basic. If you do not install RStudio, you have to use this thing. So for example, you can do all the things like 1 plus 1 equals 2, things like this. So this is fine. If you're fine with this, that is also fine. That's fine. But if you install RStudio, then this is RStudio. So you can do the same thing like this here. But as you can see, later when you import data, import data, you can see the data like here by clicking here, and you can like import files from here, and things. It is much more convenient working on this. There are tabs. You can change tabs, and you can click things. You can click the menu to do some basic commands, right? So it is much more convenient to use RStudio. So I recommend you to install this one. I'm not certain if RStudio is installed on library computers, but I will check it, and I will go to the library after recording this video, and we'll see if there are RStudio installed. And also, as I said before, I'm not R is not my main program. I primarily use Stata, which looks like this. This is Stata, and also I use MATLAB, which is another general program. So I have to learn R as I teach, but I enjoy learning a new program, but I wanted to show you the resources that I'm using first. First, I used education.rstudio.com. If you go to this page, this is, I think it's an official page from RStudio. And you can see for teachers, for beginners, for like learners, there are resources. Like I usually go here for beginners, and there are it shows list of resources you can use. If you want to learn it uh, deeper, then you may check these resources. I also use these resources to make my own teaching materials, right? And another page you may be interested in is kaggle.com. This is a very interesting website. So kaggle.com is a community for data scientists, and they open competitions with common data. So they put up some big data and like open the data and so call for analysis based on the data. Previously, one interesting example was NFL data about injury. So how Kaggle like opened the competition for ideas to reduce injuries in the NFL, like based on data, right? So I did not participate. I didn't know what was the who was the winner, but anyhow, it was very interesting website, and you can go to maybe courses, and then in here you can find many other programs like intro to programming, usually based on Python, which is a more general advanced program, but you can also find R guide. So R is here, right? So our guides are given here, and there are also open tutorials, several tutorials and resources for beginners. And of course, you can directly go to google.com and like you can search for R for beginners. Or you can then just see what it is. There are many documentations. Also on YouTube, I search for like introduction to R programming, something like that. Then there are many videos. I'm watching them too. So like I watched this one, R programming 101, and I also watched it. So there are many open sources. There are many sources. So I recommend you try them if you need more resources. Okay. Anyhow, it is free and it's open source program. So there are unlimited sources online. So I recommend you to make yourself familiar with them and like search for more resources by yourself. Okay, so before starting with data work, I'm going to show you really the basic fundamental basics, right? First, like as you see, you can use it at like a calculator, like what is 1 plus 1? It is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Things like that, right? 1 over 2 is 0.5. Basic things can be done directly here. And also, there are some functions like absolute value of minus 5 is 5, or square root of 4 is 2. So there are some functions. SQRT is square root, ABS is absolute value. Or you can try like log. Log of 1 is 0. And say exponential of 0 is 1. Right? Basic functions are defined like a calculator. Of course, that is a very basic way to use R. So if you need a calculator, you may open R and do some calculation. Right? And by the way, let me zoom in so that you can see it better, right? So I think it works better. Okay, and of course it has more function than this. The most important thing is defining a random variable, right? So I'm going to define a random variable. I input, say, 1 into x, right? So x and arrow is inequality and minus sign. Then you like say y. I'll define y as say -2, for example. So this is definition. You input -2 on y. So you assign the value of y. Then you may just type x, then it returns 1. Y is -2. Okay? So now you may use the variable x and y to manipulate things like x plus y will return -1. Okay? X plus 5 will be 6. Right? So, and also you may apply the function directly to the defined variable, like absolute value of x plus 5 is 6, right? So it is same as absolute value of 6. And also like absolute value of x plus y is 1. And let me show you a wrong command. So as you know, log function cannot accept a negative number. But let's see what happens if you try to calculate log of -2. Y is -2. So if you put y into log function, it will show you an error message. So usually you are going to see NaN, which means not a number, right? The answer is not a number. So this is the typical error message you are going to get. Like for example, similar idea is if I define z as 0 and think about 1 over z, infinity, right? So it does not show error, but it shows infinity. And NaN is not a number, INF is infinity. So these are typical, problems and errors and mistakes you can make in your code, right? So think about that. And okay, so the point was this this syntax. You have to put something and use left arrow. By the way, you don't need to use just one letter. You may use variable and use this and -1, something like this. And then vary itself is a variable, right? By the way, you can see what's going on in here, right? This is the difference. Just R, original R does not have that kind of convenience. Amenity is not available in here, so we are using RStudio because of this kind of user-friendly interface, right? So the variable name does not need to be just a single letter. You may use like whatever, but except for what's not available is function names. If you use ABS as a variable name, I think it does not work. Oh, it works. Okay, it works. I'm sorry. So it's good. So you may define a variable name as you want. And next thing I want to say is also you may define. So these are numbers, but you may put a text into a variable, like say I defined name. I assigned Michael into name, but I use quotation mark to let them know it is a text. It is not a number, right? So on this program, the number and a text are treated differently. So I entered it like this. And like, for example, if I put 23 in quotation marks, then it will understand it as a text, not a number, right? So it does not work, right? If you wanted to calculate absolute value of 23, it returns an error because 23 is not a number, but a text, as I defined it between quotation marks. So error comes up saying non-numeric argument. So in this function, absolute value function cannot accept text as an argument. So when you see an error, it is possible that the variable is defined as a text, even if its contents are numbers, but they are not recognized as numbers. That's possible. Okay. Okay, the next interesting manipulation is I would define a vector. Usually a variable or data is a vectors. If you observe 100 observations, they are 100 by 1 matrix or a column, right? So then in that case, we use C, which stands for column, right? So think about this. C, inside C, I will, let's see, something like this. So I defined name as a column of Michael, Kobe, LeBron. So then let's see how it is defined. So it is 3 by 1 vector with three names, but they are text, 3 elements. Each of them is text. And similarly, let me define back number as a vector. Now I'm going to enter the back numbers as numbers, say like this, right? So then back number is a vector 23, 24, and 6, right? So you may use mathematical functions on this vector, like sum. Let's see. You may use summation works here, or you may calculate mean of the back number. Or also what you can do here is you may define another variable m as like this. Then you can just save the mean of the vector as another variable m. I defined it as m here. So you can use the functions and definition as you want. If you are planning to use the mean later and multiple times, then you can it would be more convenient to save it as something another variable like m. Okay, so far we learned how to define a variable and how to define a vector, and we learned text and numbers are different, and some examples of functions and examples of errors. And what I wanted to show you is we are going to let me define one more thing. Position, I will define position as another say another vector, things like this. And what I'm going to do is I will combine all these vectors. They are kind of data with 3 observations, right? So we are observing 3 players, Michael, Kobe, LeBron, and we observe their back numbers, their positions, and these things. Then you can see I will combine them into a matrix and put a data structure. So I am going to define players, which is data frame. So it's not just a column. We are going to define this as data. And I will put name, back number, position. So put enter. Then now you get data. It's not just a value. So you have, so far we worked with just one number, one variable, but from now on, you have data. And if you click data, it shows a spreadsheet here. This is the power of RStudio. This kind of like visual like expression is not possible in R, original R anyhow. So, and what is interesting, another interesting thing here is if you click this, and then automatically this command is entered. Actually, this command is equivalent to clicking this data, right? So you defined players data and click here, but instead of clicking that, you can input this command here and press enter. They are equivalent. So you don't need to memorize this command, or you can learn what was the command to show the data. And you have 3 by 3 data, and so each row is one observation, one player. Each column is a column, it's a variable. Okay, you have 3 by 3 data, and what is interesting, like we can work with this data set now. So as a data, if you are interested in a variable, we have to use dollar mark, like. So if you wanted to see name variable from, let me close it. So if you wanted to see variable name in the player's data, you can use player's dollar name, and then enter will return the name variables the list of name variables. And like for example, you may use that directly into a function. If you wanted to calculate the mean of bag numbers, you may use this. So in players data, we are using bag number variable, and you apply a function there. You may define this as like this, as before. So you may combine all the things, and you may just click this. It understands what variables are there, so you can just click here, and then enter here. Then it calculates, it saves mean as m, as a variable m, right? We are overriding on m. Okay, so this is the basic manipulation of data vector matrix. And another interesting thing here is indexing matrix. So this data is, so let me open it again. Data is 3 by 3. But if you wanted to use, say for example, you wanted to check what is on the second row and third column, then you can index it like this. 2, 3 will return players, excuse me. So if you wanted to see 2, 3 element of the matrix players, so 2, 3 is this one, right? So second row, third column, right? So this is how you index it. Or if you wanted just second row and everything in like across columns, then you can just leave it as okay, same mistake. So if you leave the column argument as empty, then it will return everything from the second row. Second row is like this. Okay, so the first element, when you index a matrix, first element is the row, and the second argument is the column. And okay, when you wanted to choose multiple row or multiple column, say I'm keeping doing mistakes. Excuse me. So you have to use this 1 through 2. 1, what do we say this? Colon 2, right? Then it will return like rows from 1 to row number 2 and everything from the column. Or you may do it this way. So I choose rows from 1 to 2 and I choose column 3. Say then 1 to column and 1 to row and column 3, then it will return these two elements, the positions, right? SG, SG. So this is how we manipulate an indexing of metrics. And one more interesting example is like if you want to put a condition, for example, I will show you. Players, I'd like to filter out the observations, filter out rows, so that I only need players with bank number smaller than 20, and I want to see their position, right? Then it will give me only SF. Say, like, let me show it again. Players where players bank number is less than 20, and I want their name and bank number. Then it will return LeBron 6. Because I put a condition that this variable satisfies this condition. So in the in the argument for row, I put a condition. So it only returns the rows that satisfy this condition. So of course, among these three, only LeBron satisfies that condition, and I choose two columns, column 1 and 2. So it returns these two columns. Okay. So I illustrated a few basic manipulations, and like if you are familiar with that, it is pretty simple and pretty intuitive. Sometimes it's confusing, and especially like me, if you use multiple programs, they are similar but subtle differences in syntax, right? So, but it shouldn't be that much difficult. Okay, the next thing you need to learn is also maybe the most important basic. So far, I entered a command in this place. It is like text message. I'm sending a text message to this program. Then the program returns a reply like immediately, right? As I send a message, then I get a response right away. It can be good, but in some cases this is not ideal because like this is a text message, but like unlike text messages, I may need to send the same message again and again. So, and sometimes to send a message, it requires a few lines to get to what I want. I have to go through a few things like defining variables and doing some manipulation, and then I want a final result. So what I want is, instead of sending a text message, I wanted to send it like an email. I want to write a whole story in like a email and send it at once instead of sending line by line. This is a big difference in programming because, as I said, you need to run this program many times, and also while you write, often you need to edit what you wrote earlier because there may be errors, or you may want to change details, or if you find some errors in your data, you may need to change your code, blah blah blah. There are many reasons you want to like keep the email in your draft box, or you want to try it before sending it, right? So like text message is instant, so it could be good, but it could be dangerous. When you make an error, it's just sent, so you cannot fix it. So like email, what we are going to do here is you open this, our script. Click this, right? Empty document with plus button, and then open our script. So you are going to write that as a script instead of writing directly on console, right? So, but what you can do is just do the same thing on script, right? For example, I'm going to define x as 1, y as -2, and z as 0. These are the first 3 commands that I used. And then you can just define x plus y. And I showed you what happens when you put log of y. Or also, you can try things like that. Okay? And then, let me show you what happens if you just run it. Run this. Then you will get this. So you get the result out of here. So this much is not necessary to you, so it returns absolute value, right? So you are going to save this script, and that is your code. Like when you submit your homework, you have to submit the saved script. That is the key lesson you should learn from here. And later, if you find some error, like for example, like if you run this, sometimes you get an error message. Then you have to come back to the script and you have to rewrite and redo, like rerun the program, right? So this is the program. You have to save it, and in your homework answer, you need to send me this code, okay? I think this is it. This is first just introduction to R. In the second video, I'm going to post homework 1, and I will demonstrate how you use the dataset, how you and I will do the homework on the next video, so that you can just follow exactly what I do and just submit your code, right? Okay, thank you for watching. I hope this helps, and also if you think it's insufficient, you can search for more videos, more documents on Google and YouTube. Yeah, and if you have any questions, let me know.